Hey guys, what's going on? Andrew coming at you, and in this one we're talking about 6 things I miss from the United States that I can't find here in Sweden. So I'm going to go into it. If you have found this stuff before, you can go ahead and put it in the comments below. And we are going to start with number 1. My favorite food of all time has to be hot wings. I know it's terrible for you, but I love fried chicken hot wings, all the different flavors of hot sauces, barbecue sauces, and then dipping that wings and all kinds of sauces and just eating it. I find it really hard to get hot wings here in Sweden. You can find it in a handful of places, but overall it's not as big of a thing as I had in Western Pennsylvania growing up, where every restaurant had its own wing night, where the wings were really, really cheap. When I go to the States, one of the first things I get is hot wings, and I'll go to like a Buffalo Wild Wings where you can pick like 4 different hot wing flavors. Something I used to do with my friends. We'd get a bunch of different flavors of hot wings, we'd share them and split them. It was just something fun about trying all the different flavors. And with that being said, you can't get hot sauce in Sweden so easily. Like Frank's Red Hot is one of my favorite hot sauces. I have found it in an American store once, but it's just a very common sauce. I find that Americans, not all Americans, but many Americans enjoy hot and spicy food. I think it might have to be with the fact of being so close to Mexico. So it's just a part of our culture where I find that Swedish people don't really like hot and spicy food so much. Like maybe a handful of people I run into can actually handle it, but Swedes' palate are like their tongue. They much more prefer like a licorice, salty kind of flavor and not so much hot and spicy. So it's hard to get the hot wings and it's hard to find hot sauce. I usually go into making my own hot sauce, which is fun, just time consuming. So that's number 1. And number 2 has to be what I dip the hot sauce in, and that is ranch. Yes, I find ranch-flavored sauces and things like that, but it's very hard to find a authentic ranch. Yes, I can create the ranch myself, but I miss just being able to pick up ranch at a store. You'll see a lot of these flavors that claim to be ranch, but like I said, you have a hard time finding the actual ranch. I love to use ranch on salads. Sometimes it's nice as a dressing for sandwiches and things like that, and it's such a popular flavor. But again, I think it's one of those things where, you know, my girlfriend likes the flavor and stuff of ranch when we're in the States, but it's just for some reason it's a dressing or flavor that really hasn't made its way to Sweden yet, where it's a common sauce at every store, and it's always something that I end up missing. Number 3 has to be root beer. And with that being said, I'm actually going to say American lagers as well. Root beer is a flavor that, it's like a soda you can drink, but I've often found that Swedes hate the flavor. Like if you give a Swede a flavor of root beer, the way their palate is and how they taste stuff, they usually will not like root beer. But I also enjoy like American lagers, like a Yingling. It's a very old beer we have in the United States, America's oldest beer. And it's a lager beer. And there are lager beers in Sweden and in Europe, but I just don't find it as being as common as many the lagers. I don't know. I don't want to sound silly saying that, but I just don't see the lagers in the same way. Like I like Hefeweizen, so that's great, but that American lager style of beer is something that I just miss. And also what's nice about the American beers is there's many different breweries, so it's very common to find all kinds of different beers from different breweries that you can mix and match, and I don't find that we have that in Sweden or in Europe so much, where it's a lot of the major beer companies that you can buy from, but there's not so many of those different bars and restaurants that all have their own different types of beers, or house beers and things like that. Number 4 has to be I miss Amazon Prime. I have tried Amazon Prime. I wish I could use it here. You get 2 days free shipping on all your online purchases for $120 a year. Plus you get Amazon Prime, like the video service, plus you get the music service. There's so many things that go along with a Prime membership. But the 2-day free shipping on online purchases is just awesome, and that they leave everything outside of your house. Being here and having to deal with PostNord as much as I do, I really miss the way, I know Amazon is not a shipping company per se, but they do ship you a lot of products, and if there's ever a mistake, they always take care of it right away. I think that Amazon Prime is such a great service and discount, and it's just something I go crazy with. When I'm home, I go crazy with the online shopping and just getting everything delivered to my house. You can do it in Sweden, but I just don't feel it's at the same level of quality. So that is one thing that I miss when I'm here. Number 5 has to be hockey and American football. Now, American football I can somewhat follow here on Sundays in Sweden because of the time zone difference. I can at least see one of the games. But coming from Pittsburgh, I just missed the sporting event overall. Like, people in Pittsburgh, we love sports. We live and die by our sports, and that's like the most important thing happening on a Sunday, and going to a restaurant or a place together with friends, watching the game together. You just don't get that same atmosphere here. So I'm able to follow American football, but hockey, ice hockey is one of my favorite sports of all time. I'm a huge Pittsburgh Penguins fan, and that time zone difference makes it really rough because most games are being played at like 2 a.m. in the morning. So I don't really get a good chance to follow all of the sports. And it's just something that I miss overall. Those are tough. Also, I watch Linköping's hockey team play, and it's fantastic. I like watching the hockey here. But if I'm going to be honest, I feel spoiled being in Pittsburgh and having some of the best hockey players in the world play, and just growing up with that. And then also, the ice in Europe is wider. There's a little bit more room, or mellanrum as you would say in Swedish, I guess, on the ice, and I prefer a little bit of the tighter ice space. I think that in international hockey you got a little bit too much room to skate around, and Sweden has a lot of great sports, but you just don't get that massive 60,000 people like watching a sporting event unless it's maybe the national Swedish soccer team playing. So that's something that maybe I would like to see. It's like a Swedish soccer event. I have watched the World Cup of hockey here when I was in Sweden when Sweden won, so that was very interesting, but that's like maybe the one thing I can compare to it. Finally, number 6 has to be driving, and I know I need to get like a driver's license here in Sweden, but I just don't have a car. So, you know, in the States, you gotta literally drive everywhere. So I had my first car when I was 16 years old. You know, in my lifetime, I probably have had like 5 or 6 different cars already, and grew up driving. I worked at a car dealership before coming to Sweden. So I just have driven a lot, and I've driven all types of different vehicles of all different shapes and sizes. And I think there's a stress level to driving all the time, so it's definitely nice to be able to take a bus because you're not thinking so much about driving. You can read a book, you can listen to an audiobook. But overall, I have to say that I miss driving because there's a little bit of this freedom. You know, when I was 16 years old, I used to put some gas in my car, pick a road, and just go out and go and cruise. Gas was very cheap then, though. not like how it is now. But I miss that. There's a sense of freedom you have when you're out there driving, and that's something that I definitely miss. But overall, those are the 6 things that I miss from the States. If you are Swedish and you've been to the U.S. and there's something that you miss, please put that in the comments below. If you agree with me or disagree with me, you're welcome to discuss and write all that in the comments. Thank you guys for checking out this video. I know it's been a little bit while since I had a video, which I can go into at a later date, but I'm happy to have you with me. Welcome to everybody new, and I'll see you in the next video. Hej då!